in this episode.
I hate the barrel length supremacy conversations.
We all know it's 20 inches.
Well, that's just not a reasonable standard. Come on now. I think most guys are using 16, and that's just fine.
Some would say the 20 inches hurt, okay?
In an obtuse world, Mark and Jefe will combine military, law enforcement, and general FUD knowledge to keep you vertical. Welcome to the Live, Laugh, LARP podcast.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? Thanks for joining us on another edition of the Live, Laugh, LARP podcast. We really do appreciate everybody that comes along and checks things out. All of the people that's been here since day one, all the new people, we surely do enjoy it. We have a great guest this time, and I'm super excited. But before we get into any of that, Jefe, how you doing?
Trapped here in the basement again.
Again.
This is like second week in a row.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're on a roll.
Yeah, like it's like great. It's that like I'm glad that people are listening, and I'm glad that you guys are enjoying our content. But now we have to, we have to make more.
We have to, yeah.
So the supply and demand of
the
it.
algorithm.
Yes.
Yep. So, but everything's good at home. 2 under 2.
2 under 2. Yep. It's still. I mean, it's not 2 under 2. One's like 2.5, but
well,
she feels
close enough.
It's a whirlwind, but
yeah.
It's fun.
You lost your fanny pack, I see.
Oh yeah, so. Quick story. I ordered one of Spiritus's new their new drip, the splatter camo, because last time I missed out on it. I'm like, I will never miss out on it again. So I bought one of them, and my daughter thought it was the coolest thing ever. So she just like put it on her and took off running. I'm like, cool. Well, I'll find that later, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. No, just buy another one.
I think they're already sold
out.
I think they're sold out. I don't know. I haven't checked.
All right. But with that being said, we have to take a second to say a huge thank you to our title sponsor for this podcast. That is XS Sights. If you guys are in the market for an upgrade to your iron sights for your pistol, regardless if that is just standard or suppressor height sights, optic height sights, all of that type of stuff, you know, every single time any one of you buys a new Glock, the first thing you're going to do is swap out the sights. So why not try XS Sights? They have a couple of different variations to what they offer. And Jefe, you said it last time, you have them pretty much on everything.
Well, I have especially all my revolvers ever since I got my first revolver. The first thing I did was put an XS big dot on it myself. And I think it's a mandatory upgrade. If you have any sort of small frame revolver that has a pinned front sight, you almost need an XS big dot sight.
Nope,
I don't. Nope, you don't. You're poor.
I'm a poor.
And then since they worked with Lipsies on these new 632s and the 432, that whole ultimate carries, it's definitely one of those. Every time I show it to everyone's like, wow, I'm surprised that these aren't just stock sights. So XS sights. Yeah. Fantastic revolver sights. I got a lot of actually, like, I've been posting a couple of things with my Model 19 with their minimalist revolver sights. The amount of questions I get on them, like on a daily basis from like random internet strangers, is fantastic. So people are interested in them. They are. Oh, there's the dogs that we're just talking about.
Yeah.
Fantastic products. They are big and they are very useful. So they're combat sights. Big green front sights. Usually they are blacked out rear sights, which is like the perfect combination. I think closest thing you get to a red dot without actually putting a red dot on things.
100%. And if you guys are interested in picking up some of the XS sights, they have been gracious enough to give our listeners 20% discount. Just use the code LARP, LARP, and you can capitalize on 20% off any sites that you purchase from their store. So go check them out. We'll have all the details in the description of this podcast. About said video. We're not doing video yet, but podcast yet. So, but with that being said, we are exploring video. So hopefully we can get that going.
Video curious, by format curious.
So next thing you know, we're going to be looking like Joe Rogan.
It's gonna be like Wayne's World out here.
Yeah, that's actually a really good.
That's probably a better one.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Jamie, why don't you put that up on the screen?
Exactly. But we're going to have a whole bunch of commotion in the backgrounds. We've got the dogs barking here. We've got a cat running around going to do terroristic things because
cats are terrorists.
Phantom does turn into the Phantom Menace at night. And our guest is going to have probably some dogs in the background as well because she has one of the best, cutest pups in the world. We're going to go ahead and bring her on. And how's it going? I'll let you
guys.
you introduce yourself. Go ahead, Jefe. Go ahead.
Who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, there you go.
I'm Boondock Ballistician, Jesse, and I guess I make a slew of videos, most serves, super technical things. And like you said, yeah, Maze is the star of the show, so she is more than likely going to try to get her 2 cents in at some point of this podcast.
Absolutely, and we're here for it. So don't worry about that one bit. But one of the things that I think is really cool about everything that I saw, and one of the reasons why I reached out to you to have you on the podcast is that your content that you've been doing on YouTube. So anyone who's interested in following Jessie, we'll have her information down in the description below as well. You can find her there. But it's like just a kind of a big breath of fresh air. You come in, you talk a little bit of history of the firearms in your videos and go there. You know, it's just, I just find it really refreshing to see your videos.
I appreciate that. I think people forget that firearms are fun. They get very politicized. It gets gatekeepy in the community. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think the majority of the people watching and listening to our videos, our podcasts, what have it, are just average Joe Schmo who enjoys plinking, and that's that.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. What kind of started you down this path to start the?
What's the villain origin story?
There you
go. I guess with shooting, I don't know, the classic trope of I live in like a rural area. I didn't know it wasn't normal to not get the first day of hunting season off until I went to college. I was like, what do you mean we don't get like rifle open day? Like what? Yeah, I guess when I was younger, I was more indifferent to shooting, did a little bit. But as I got older, I just had more friends that had a huge variety of different firearms, and the more I tried, the deeper it went.
Mm-hmm. It's like a crazy rabbit hole that you just dive
absolutely into. Especially once you start to find the things that really speak to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the problems start.
Yep.
Yeah, that's when the problems start and the money starts
disappearing
really quick. So, unfortunately, we have picked one of the top 3 most expensive hobbies to get into, but it's again, as you said,
the miniature models from Warhammer. Those guys are screwed.
Those guys, yeah. Or that it reminds me of that I guess it's like an Instagram reel where the guys, you spent $20,000 on Pokemon cards. Yeah, if everyone's serious, do I catch them on? We'll be doing it too. So I feel like that's me sometimes when I open up a splattered camo pattern fanny pack, and my wife's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Well, I'm being serious."
Hey, we all have something, all right? Like every single person has a terrible hobby they indulge way too much in.
So you are a ballistician is that like a normal day job, or is that just something you do on the side?
Yeah, I always
hobby?
feel weird. Like, I picked Boondock Ballistician because I liked the alliteration, and it just names are hard. You guys can attest to this. Coming up with a channel name is difficult. I guess on paper, my job is just engineer, but I do work on designing small cal munitions. So I guess in the traditional sense, ballistician does work. Okay. It's just not like a title I ever thought to give myself. And until I made the channel, I gave it to myself.
So we'll officially bestow it to you.
Yes, I'll allow it.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm honored.
Yeah.
I'm pretending I'm getting knighted right now, so thank you.
You're definitely on one knee, correct?
Of course.
I say Mark has some samurai swords around here from his Wii.
I was just going to say, you were talking about the knife before.
There.
I ended up, I literally just bought a World War II bring back. Yeah. I didn't know it'd been there for like 2 weeks. and then the little really short dude, old guy with the gray hair that always comes in.
You describe like half the customers. But
well, he used to
that
own
sounds
Pat's
so
a long time
stereotypical for
ago.
a person to give a samurai sword.
I know. Well, he was no, he was sitting in the back where I usually sit in like the office area of this local gun shop that I frequent. We were
Every
just
day.
talking about, and spent way too much money there yesterday. I can tell you that. But I was just kind of shooting the shit with this other guy that knows the owner real well, and he was like, "Hey, you know that they got a samurai sword?" Because he saw my tattoo on my arm. I've got a samurai, a Ronin tattooed on my arm, and he's like, they've got a samurai sword over there. And I was like, what? And I went and looked at it. It's a World War II bring back, and it's like a legit NCO sword from World War II that was brought back from Japan.
I looked at it a little bit. It very looks much like something you get like Marla White from
it does.
It's like it's the
vibe
super
to it,
super. I would say the chintzy, low quality NCO sword that everyone gets, just so they can say they have an NCO sword,
right?
But it's World War II and it's Japanese, but. We are going way off topic.
Again,
we started off
strong.
Yeah.
But
so, talk to us a little about your channel. What's exactly your channel? Like, what do you do for your channel, and what's, I guess, the drive, like what drives you to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I started doing videos. I figured I'm shooting either way, so why not try it, right?
Yeah.
I acknowledge the fact that I'm a little different than the standard audience. You see a lot of guys on YouTube, GunTube, obviously. So I figured maybe it would help someone to see a girl, to see a smaller person. I'm just excited to share information I have, I make videos that I am happy to talk about. I'm excited to talk about. And if one person enjoys that topic, that's cool. I know my channel is a little scattered on content. I don't have you see people like, oh, we're just Milsurp and that's that. I love Milsurp. I have a bunch of modern firearms. I'm just showing off what I am excited to show off,
Yeah. And that's exciting for a lot of people too, because it brings people in who might be interested in Milsurp and sees your K31 video. And then next thing you know, is like, well, oh, she's got an MP5 video. Let me check that out, and then next thing
MP5s are pretty much Milsurp these days. Let's all be honest here. It's all hanging on by a thread.
That's true. But it just because someone who is big into Milsurp might still be interested in other things that you're doing as well. So I that's why I like the variety that you've done with your channel.
Kind of reminds us of our channel.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
No, absolutely. I think you definitely convey just the doing what you enjoy, and it comes across. The people who watch are more than excited to just see that actual passion. Like, it's clear you're happy about it and not just making content for the sake of trying to farm views and get sponsors.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, one of the things, our friend Joe from Firearms Freedom, one of the things that he brought up on his podcast is that every once in a while he'll get a comment in his videos that says like, your channel just embodies the vibe of like 2014 YouTube. And Joe just takes that to heart every single time.
That is the best compliment. That is the YouTube I grew up with. I would be so ecstatic.
Yeah,
I've gotten a handful of comments of two people left a comment once, two separate people, that they were fathers. They watched their videos with my videos with their daughters, and that their daughters are actually excited about firearms after seeing me. And that is the wildest thing ever. I'm so proud of that.
No, that's super fucking cool, because I as now a father of two daughters, I am now scratching my head of how to introduce them into the tism that is the firearms community.
Show them my video.
And it's hard because most the women in the space are either incredibly competent and kind of pushed to the side, or they have really big boobs and fake lips and
so you're just gonna.
No, I'm not saying anybody's name. I am not saying any.
We all know what gun bunnies are. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I mean, unfortunately, that's what gets promoted. I mean, I feel like there's a very select few women like Jerry's daughter. I can't. Leanna.
Yeah.
Lena. Yeah.
Lena. I can remember
and
Lena.
May.
Yes,
they're both phenomenal.
And Carrie was for a long time.
Yeah.
Mosier. Was there Carrie Mosier?
Corinne.
Yep. Man, it's been a long day.
Yeah.
Names are not my forte. So, but there was a lot of women in the sport and in the hobby. But it's great to hear that there's not just.
It's intimidating for people starting and seeing all of the like competition shooters, male or female, or all of the tacta dudes. Like that's hard to start off with that and be comfortable. So if like nothing else, my goal is to let people realize like, hey, it's for everyone. Hey, it doesn't matter if you're small, you can try this big gun. Like it doesn't matter if you're the perfect shot, you can still have fun shooting.
So speaking of shooting, so like I'm going to feign ignorance here, so our audience can kind of get an idea. So, what is like a typical? What of your typical videos look like? What do you try to do in one of your normal videos to kind of like capture the audience, to bring a little something unique to the video? Yeah,
absolutely. I tend to lean to two video types, right? Like I do my gun reviews. I lean more towards milsurp on those. Like to give the history, like to dress up when I can, and then give kind of my opinions on the firearms or like little things that I might have to do to make them work for me. And then the other type that I think that I am more unique in is my technical videos, in which, you go back to my job, I kind of give a actual like engineering perspective breakdown of how certain things work and what's actually happening when you fire some stuff. Those are definitely meant for a more niche audience, and thank you to all of the people who love those ones, because I love making them. But I try to frame them in a way that helps build up the level of information. Not too technical that you're scared away, but technical enough that you can say you learned something.
100%. And that's one of the things that I enjoyed about your most recent video that you put out, just talking about ballistics and just going, full geek out mode on this is the anatomy of a bullet, and this is how they act, and this is how they react with inside the barrel, and this is some of the things that we consider when we're developing new loads and stuff like that. That stuff is there it is.
I caught that chuckle.
So and we got my girlfriend, who is perpetually 14 years old, is giggling about it as well. So
we never grow up.
All right.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I just love that video, and naturally the LARP that you do in the intros to your videos, talking about some of the the milsurp stuff, is really cool as well. So
I'm gonna be
like I said, that's where. Okay.
Yeah, no, with the LARPing, like I am definitely a cosplayer, so that extends outside of firearms, like dressing up to fit the themes, to fit a character. I will love that in any capacity.
Well, see, and my daughter is into going to like Comic-Cons. We try to make it to the Kansas City Comic-Con every year. She loves to dress up, and she's had a lot of fun with that. And just this last year at Comic-Con, I dressed up as Shaun of the Dead.
Okay.
So it was me. I was Shaun of the Dead. Nan was his girlfriend, and then
was Kelly?
Yeah, I think it's Kelly. And then my buddy
have
Drew
chained up to play video games with in your basement.
I know. It was a Jefe, but my other buddy Drew, he played the other friend, so so we walked around and everybody was walking up and pointing at me and they're like, "Oh, you got red on you," and okay, so
no, it's fun though.
Yeah, it is fun to just to have a little fun. It's really what it all boils down to. So but
another expensive hobby, but
that is another, especially when you start getting into like full on Star Wars cosplay and
I did a Ariel cosplay from Diablo, if you're familiar with that. So the armor, the big wings. And I made the wings articulated so they would open and close.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, you went full on. Wow.
Oh yeah, my wallet felt it.
So, before we're gonna put
we're so good at side.
we're gonna put a pin on that side here a little bit, but we're gonna go back to the firearm side. So at least the people that are here for guns can get some content before we go talking about cosplaying. So. Milsurp, what is your favorite Milsurp rifle that you have?
All right, if you've been to my channel, you know I love the SKS. I have a very soft spot for that for no good reason.
Are you going to get one? I don't. Isn't right or Clay making like a stock for that or something like that?
I don't know if he's actually making one, but he just did a video about like this Bubba.
He
SK,
well, it's like in a Samson stock,
something like
that. Looks like an M14, but it's like a Russian M14.
Yeah. Well,
that is the one way to Bubify an SKS without offending people. It actually looks very nice.
Oh, it did look pretty cool. I was like, man, I need to get SKS now.
Yeah, and so I second that. I appreciate the fact that you have a affinity for the SKS. I have a Yugo SKS that I absolutely love.
Yeah, the Yugo ones are great.
It's still an SKS, but it's different, just enough different that makes it a little bit unique. And then for whatever reason, I have 2 M44 Mosin.
Okay.
No, not for no reason. You bought them. I mean, for no reason.
Just showed up.
They just gave it to me. But I have, but legitimately, there's like they serve no purpose. I mean, other than the fact that they're old.
They're cool to have. That's cool. The only purpose you need, right?
Yeah.
And like the cool thing with Milsurps, like you said, the Yugo ones, it's a little different. Most of these guns have been adopted and slightly modified by every country you could imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So like we can say SKS and it's a general blanket. We all know what that means, but there's so many different variations and points of history. Like I think that's so phenomenal. Like that, how is that not fascinating?
Yeah, well, it's communism. That's what it is. it's no secret. So maybe it's creativity. Maybe it's a bit of communism.
So you've got so the SKS is your favorite. What's the one that's not in your collection that you would sell a kidney to get?
I have always very badly wanted to try a PPSH. Papa Shah. It's probably, I know it's not going to be great, but it's just one of those things that has always been in my head.
a firearm from Soviet Russia is not going to be great.
Hey, the garbage rod is a very fine rifle. Okay, it's still being used today. It's like it's been killing Russians and Ukrainians for like the past 3 years.
Yeah,
that might be the communism coming back in.
Yeah. So, Papa Shah. Yeah, those are pretty cool, and you can actually still find kits for them.
Yeah, absolutely can.
Yep. Matter of fact, who was it? I just saw a video in my recommended feed about one of those from, no, it was from Commando Gear. Commando,
okay. No idea.
So they do like America. They're like America Pipe Dream. Americana Pipe Dream. They have all the Milsurp like clothing and stuff like that.
Command with a K.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember those guys now.
So he has a YouTube channel as well.
Okay.
And he had a freaking PPSH video that he had like an EO tech on it and stuff like that. So
I mean, he check that out.
Oh, that's what we should do with that 1911.
That's what we should do.
That's what we should do with that 1911.
So in Jefe's day job, he came across I
didn't come across it. Someone's like, "Hey, why are these guns in this cardboard box in the basement of this place?" And one of them is a 1945 British Lend-Lease 1911 Colt.
Yeah.
That has like the British stamp on the side of it.
Just like randomly sitting in a cardboard box in the basement of where I work. And then
what the hell?
Yeah, it's just like cool. That's kind of cool. And then also had it had a Smith & Wesson Model 29.
Free them from their prison. They don't belong down there.
Yeah, they belong in a museum.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to do is figure out what to do with them. But it was one of those things where someone's like, "Hey, we've had this box down here for a little bit. It has like guns, like old guns in it. We don't know what to do with it." Mm-hmm. It also had a Glock 27 in there and some it had like. I work for a police department, so guns and boxes kind of make sense. But like, I don't work at like a McDonald's or something. It's like, oh, by the way, we found a box of guns in the basement.
I'm glad you clarified. Frozen. I was sitting here trying to piece that together.
I forget. Like, we have the lore of what Mark and I do has been over like 2 years of doing this has been regurgitated. But I forget that when we bring people in, they're like, I don't know the backstory of any of these
I was
guys.
gonna assume you were some like house flipper and you just found
like some
leftover real estate.
All, I would never after fucking doing this bus project, I will never fucking flip a house.
Oh yeah. So that's one of Jefe's other hobbies is he's
it's not hobby, it's slave work right now.
Okay. Well, it's a labor of love.
No, it's not. It's just labor. That's all
labor.
It is.
Yeah. So he's converting
all over again.
He's converting a blue
school bus from a drug rehab facility into a camper.
Yeah. It's a Bluebird though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Chevy Bluebird. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's full on standard.
That'll be cool once you're done though.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do any of this, by the way. That's the issue.
Well, that's the problem. Yeah.
Electric work and plumbing is something that I never thought I wanted to do, and I've realized really quickly it's something I don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep, that's.
Well, hey, enough about us.
Exactly.
we have been ruining this time that we have with you. Talking about this is exactly why this show started. Was Mark and I would sit there like in the parking lot after workouts and talk for like 2.5 hours, and I had to figure out how to monetize it so I don't get in trouble anymore. So we started a podcast because we're guys in our 30s, white guys in their mid 30s, early 40s that have opinions. So I guess we need to.
I would love to be in my early 40s.
Yeah, you have to.
Anyway, so let's get back to Jesse and talk about. So let's get back into your day job. Because that's where I just want to really kind of nerd out a little bit. So you
work for a company.
You work for a company. We won't say who, which is fine. But you basically develop small caliber ammunition. Is that correct?
Yep.
Is that fair?
That's absolutely it. Try to make new fun rounds for other YouTubers to shoot at gel blocks and make videos on, which is actually kind of cool to see some of the stuff that I've like worked on historically. Like, oh look, so and so just put a new video out. Like, it's neat to see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So can you share some of the things that you've worked on, or is that
going to give it away too much?
Yeah, that's
fine.
No,
that's too. Okay. That's fine. Can you explain what in your day job? I mean, it's through your normal day. What are some of the things that you're looking into when you're trying to come up with these rounds or refine existing ammunition? What are some of the things that you actually do? Because this is still foreign to me. I understand the engineer aspect of it, but I still don't understand. What do you do?
What do you say you do here? I need 5 bullet points in by 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, like every other job, there's a lot of paperwork and shit involved, but usually it starts with a concept that someone wants, and whether that's someone there that decides they want to try to make a certain response happen, or someone reaches out and was like, hey, we want to work and see if we can get this to go. It's always a conversation of just, I think this caliber can be better. I want it to do this. And from there, it starts, you know, the math exercises, the modeling exercises of refining whether like it's projectile shape, materials used, like the alloys and everything like that, to try and get a concept that works on paper. I mean, this stuff takes a while. Like you work on a project and it could be years and years before you actually see it hit markets, if
and
at
then
all.
turns out 40 Smith and Wesson and
never gets touched again. Yeah.
Sorry, I had to interject. The second you start talking about round development, all I could think is like, let's neck down a 10 millimeter because it hurts my wrist.
So not for nothing. That's a lot of. I see it all the time. Rounds come out and it's gimmicky rounds, for lack of a better word. Not that they're bad, not that they don't do what they're saying they do.
Like the
but
rip rounds.
Why? Why? Like you can get this in other means. You didn't need to manufacture this. You didn't need to make a new weapon just for this. Like there's a lot of
the
see, you know my job.
Yeah. Hey, I think the 30 super carry is going to catch on. I think it will be.
What?
30 super carry?
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah, 100% serious.
Okay, so the ballistician here is laughing.
Yeah, because she's like, she can't believe that you don't think it's going to catch on.
Yeah, that's exactly why she's laughing.
Stop trying to make fetch a thing.
Well, it's interesting, you know, because we've mentioned this a couple times already, but my local gun shop, I come in, I know the owner allows me to shoot on his property to film YouTube content, right? So we go in, I'm in there all the time. We're just chewing the fat, talking about this and talking about this gun and so on and so forth. And he's like, hey, I just got this new rifle in and it's chambered in 22 arc. That might be something you might look into. It's supposed to be a new kind of newfangled round and everything. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know too much about 22 arc. I would have to do some research before. And he's like, well, let's look into it. Come to find out, 22 arc is the parent case to 22 arc is the 6 arc. The parent case to the 6 arc is 6.5 Grendel. The parent case to 6.5 Grendel is 7.62 by 39. And so once we did that, you know, that back trace and was like, okay, this one belongs to this one and this one belongs to that one. And it's like, oh, so 22 arc is 7.62 by 39 with extra steps. So
honestly, you're dead on right with that though. I mean, so from my perspective, you work with what's like a family of ammunition, right? Like people hear that I do ballistics and they think I know every round under the sun and every propellant and you name it. I'm just an encyclopedia of ammunition. But most people in this area work on a handful of families. Like they know a lot about 6.5, they know a lot about 308 because that's where their focus tends to be. So you start to see like, I don't want to say the de-evolution of rounds when you get to like the 22 arc. But yeah, you really see how those changes kind of shape and develop into new calibers or new iterations within the family. Yeah, the 22 arc is I think that's kind of a cool round. I'm not mad at it.
So growing up, I was really I grew up around a lot of like old lever guns and like the really really random calibers that was kind of coming out or what everyone wanted, like I think it's like 220B and all sorts of like this weird ass cartridges that everybody wanted. And I feel like everything's settled down, but I feel like we're kind of are we like in a Wildcat cartridge like renaissance again where everyone's just making this random shit?
Yeah, you're seeing it, right? Like even just this past year, how much new calibers have come out, and it's like the most absurd things ever. People want to make the new it thing, and I appreciate it from a development perspective. Like you go back to why I like
probably loving it for the money.
But like you go back to Milsurp, and part of like why I enjoy those is because you can see the evolution of engineering and how, you know, one discovery leads to a whole new series of things, or like, hey, we learned from this, it wasn't great, but it allowed us to develop this down the line. So even with the gimmicky rounds and the new ammo that's coming out, there's still probably a lot of good takeaway that can come out of it for future projects.
Yeah.
And a lot of things people forget too is the round in of itself is one thing. We can make it on paper, but if manufacturing's not feasible or if it's too expensive, then it's no good. So these questionable experimental interim rounds help refine the manufacturing process. So maybe the end goal is more achievable in the near future.
Yep.
So you don't get I had to sell it because I could never find ammo for it. I got gifted a 7mm Weatherby Magnum.
Oh gosh!
At one point, and just to find 7mm Weatherby Magnum was like $120 for a box of 20. So like, I had to go, but I feel like that's what's going to happen with a lot of these rifles that you come seeing with like, like maybe like 338 arc.
Yeah,
that you have.
Yeah, that one's. I'm still trying to learn enough about that cartridge just to be able to film a video and shoot a couple gel blocks with it. The supersonic stuff, 175 grain bullet, it's pretty straightforward. It's going to be something that's effective 200 to 300 yards at most. But then their subsonic is a 307 grain bullet, and you might get 150 yards out of it. It's really interesting, and it's meant for good suppression, to be able to put a silencer on your firearm and have it be super quiet. But it's also and then also in addition to that, to be able to be suppressed, you're going to have to increase the weight of the bullet to maintain the same like physics behind the characteristics and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think
it's quiet.
Yeah. But it looks like it's going to be a great hunting round for like hogs.
That's the thing, right? It is a good round on paper. I mean, it definitely gives a huge increase of power when you look at something like 300 Blackout. Mm-hmm. You start to come into the area of it's obviously harder to find. You need a specific barrel. So if the market doesn't support it early on, it's kind of just going to fade away.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, then it's going to just become that much more costly, and then interest is going to just wane that much faster.
So out of all these like kind of new Wildcat cartridges that are coming out, what has been like the one that you think everyone should put their like? I want to do some insider trading.
Oh gosh!
What do you think?
What's the round that's most slept on?
What's the one that you would say is going to be around for a bit, and why is it the 32 H&R Magnum?
Oh well, you're in good for me. There we go. I don't just.
No, but what's like the one you think that's going to be kind of like I say like not a competitor. I mean, we know 6.5 is here to stay now. 6.5 Creedmoor.
That's a fantastic round.
308 is going to be around forever just because it's a NATO round, so 5.56 and 9mm. But what's kind of what you see on the horizon is going to be kind of the next, like this is here for a while.
Oh, that's a bad question. I don't know if I have a good answer for that.
Which one do you want to stay around? Maybe that's a better one.
I am intrigued by the 8.6 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I necessarily think it's going to stick around, but I like the concepts that it's going towards, and I'd like to see that played with more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in case you want to kill like a Cape buffalo.
Yeah.
In your backyard. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. I did enjoy Grantham's video of the 8.6 Raptor. I remember this is several years ago when we talked with Jeremy from Black Collar Arms.
Yeah.
They had like an 8-inch bolt gun in 8.6 Raptor that he went out and shot some sort of wildebeest out in Africa with, and was talking about how wonderful that round was.
Where is it today?
8.6 Raptor.
Mm-hmm.
It's still around.
Is it? This is the first time I've heard of this.
Oh, I guess someone's not chronically online.
Wow, how dare you have a healthy life?
Yeah,
how dare you not be chronically online to the point where you just know these arbitrary facts like that. No, so 8.6, like, are you talking about the entire 8.6 family, or is there one that just speaks to your soul?
I am always interested in the blackout rounds. Mm-hmm. I think that particularly might take better traction just because it has a good balance. But yeah, the family as a whole, I think, has good potential to really be refined and kind of made into something that's way more standard and normal.
So you said like the blackout. So is that something like you have like your supersonics, you have your subsonics, you have your blackouts? Is a blackout like a certain term that you can talk about in different calibers and different, cartridges, that there's a blackout round? Is that just like another fancy term for subsonic, or what's the term blackout supposed to mean?
That's actually a great question. I guess the goal is largely to kind of get, that depends what the family you look at is, right? Like a lot of the blackout stuff wants to be similar. Like the 300 wants to mimic 7.62. Mm-hmm. The goal in general tends to be, hey, it works with an AR-15. We can get similar energies to whatever family equivalent, but with less.
Yeah. Okay. And that's kind of what I've heard certain people. I actually reached out to a I would say kind of larger YouTuber to talk about the 338 ARC. And I was just like, man, I need your help with this. I just need a better like direction on what I should be doing with this round. And he's like
$25 a box.
Yeah, no, it was way more than that.
No, $25 a round.
It was $155 for 80 rounds.
Oofda.
So, and so I've got 80 rounds to play with. What do I do? And he said, he's like, well, the first thing I'd say is 338 ARC is 8.6 blackout if it made sense. And I was like, tell me more, It's like the Grease, freaking gif. Tell me more. And he's like, yeah, so 338 ARC is very similar in the fact that 8.6 blackout is that kind of nebulous kind of pistol rifle caliber, like rifle length type of thing. It's like, or I should say 8.6 blackout's more like that gray area between an intermediate cartridge and a full power cartridge. Whereas 338 ARC is kind of in between a pistol and a rifle, like intermediate cartridge. And so 8.6 blackout, it's just kind of all over the place. It doesn't have really anything binding it, whereas 338 ARC's already SAMI spec'd. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that. And he's like, yeah. But then again, once I start diving into it, the 338 ARC bullet is longer than the shell casing. And that just blows my mind as well, So I've, again, still needing to try to wrap my head around that. But I have shot an 8.6 blackout at GunCon, and it's stupid quiet.
Yeah,
it's suppressed as well.
It definitely has impressive performance, and I think to your point too, in regards to like 338 ARC or 8.6 blackout, you really have to consider what your use case is, and not even just like, oh, I'm hunting, oh, I'm target shooting. Like, what weapon system do you want? Like 8.6 blackout, that's great. We're going to want to put that in like an AR-10 type system.
Yes.
338 ARC, that's definitely geared more towards subsonic use. And subsonic in of itself is very tricky in regards to like lethality performance. Yeah, it's one of those rounds that you really have to fine tune. So you can't expect it to work in a different application when that wasn't the goal it was designed for.
Right. Yeah.
So you talked about lethality on things. Like, what, in your professional opinion, I guess, what would you look for like a good lethal round? And if any future lawyers are looking at this, it's okay. This is like we're talking professional about what
hunting purposes.
For hunting purposes, like, what do you,
sporting purposes?
Are you like are you a big fan of like the FBI gel block test where it has to have like X amount of inches of penetration within the? I guess a no.
That's a no.
All right, so I'm gonna rag on the FBI gel blocks that all the gun tubers.
The FBI, please. No, please don't.
Well, listen, I use gel blocks so much at work, and I actually really like dissecting them. I think it's kind of therapeutic. Not gonna lie.
Everyone has their hobbies.
Yeah.
So you see YouTubers that do gel block and they do the 10% because, it's the FBI, like NATO standard, whatever. And sure, on paper, we can say that. That's what people tend to use when they want to make pretty pictures. So you can actually illustrate what's happening inside, because the 20% gel blocks they look like someone froze beer. They're so cloudy. Like you don't get a good visual. So for the sake of, presentation, selling to the market, whatever, you need those clear blocks to really illustrate to people who might not have the higher level knowledge. Okay. So for my job, I will always use the 20%. We do look for penetration depth. That's obviously important, but we also care way more about the neck length. So when the round does start to open up, if it has a neck of 4 inches versus if it has a neck of 1 inch, well, the 4-inch one would have gone completely through me before it did anything. That's not exactly ideal. Like, you see all of the gel blocks, everyone likes the slow-mo of that super big expansion, and it is so cool looking.
On the fireball farts.
We do not care. We don't care in the slightest. We care how it fragments inside. We care how close those fragments are to the primary wound channel, like how big they are. The secondary, like that temporary cavity, is cool. It does damage. It's not quantifiable from person to person. How I would respond to that secondary versus how like you and Mark would respond are completely different things, especially when you add in adrenaline and panic and everything else. It'll take someone out, but will it take them out quick enough to... We have all seen meth addicts take like 2 mags and still run.
Yeah, for sure. What about foot-pounds of energy? Is that considered in your calculations or whatever?
Yeah, it definitely plays a big impact. It's something we look at largely for the sense of we can predict how things might perform with that kind of knowledge. So we understand that to get a certain response in gel or in target, you have to reach X foot-pounds, you might have to reach X velocity. So that really allows us to kind of fine-tune at that point.
Okay.
So a lot of I guess it's a game of it's marketing. You have rounds that are developed, and they say it's the X amount of feet per second or X amount of foot-pounds per inch, and it's the best self-defense round that money can buy, because it's at the end of the day, it's a marketing thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
When it comes to like a round development, what are you mainly like, especially for self-defense and or hunting? What are you guys mainly looking for when it comes to, let's say, either like this intermediate or rifle cartridge? Like, what's the big things that you want to have happen?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, like, it matters on what the intended audience is. Around for military versus around for civilian, you have 2 very different cares. You hear that like standard 12 to 18 inch penetration. That comes from a military idea of barriers.
Okay.
So it's good. It's gonna help you get through a car door or something like that. If you have a home invasion, the person's probably wearing clothes, and that might be excessive. So while you do want that penetration, from a hunting perspective, right? Like, there's also the humane.
Okay, exchange right there. It's like, but someone enters your house wearing clothes. Anyway, it's hunting. Yes.
Hey, lawyers. Yeah, I'm not premeditating anything.
No, it's just more of an educational.
Right. Yeah, but obviously, like, you talk about hunting, and there's a humane aspect, and there's also if you're using the meat, like, you don't want to tear up everything that's inside. So while I might make a round that completely shreds apart and will kill without a doubt, what good is that to the hunt? So it's a balance between trying to find the expansion in relation to the initial bullet diameter and penetration depth in comparison to what your intent is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's interesting.
So I guess going off of that, so what has been like, if you had to geek out about one round that's like that you either helped with, or I'm not trying to coach you into telling us anything about your real life job, or there's something that just seemed really cool that of the development. What's like a good like development story of a round that you really appreciate? What's your like Edmund Fitzgerald of
So this is kind of a generic one, but the switch from Win Mag to Norma Mag is something that I was very excited to kind of have a hand in and be a part of. It's just one of those things that
what's the difference? Sorry.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, they're largely the same. There's a difference in between how the projectile sits within the case. So it's one of those things where it wasn't such a major change, but it was so crazy in regards to the performance you got out of it. Like you added so much extra velocity and distance capability within the round. And when you consider it as a sniper round, like that's huge to maintain stability with what realistically was just an easy little tweak of projectile seating. The neck's a little different. The projectile seat is different, but it's trivial in the grand scheme.
Is it kind of like, the difference between like 223 and 556? Like it's a very minor difference between the two, but performance wise, it's kind of, I'd say night and day, but there's like a huge jump.
I mean,
is it like on par with that? Like I'm not saying like direct.
Yeah, I can go with that. I mean, you see like a bit of a difference in the overall length. I think Win Mag's like 3.34 and change. Norma Mag's like 3.6 and change. But yeah, they're largely the same rounds. The performance is crazy to get out of one over the other.
So for the lads that are trying to visualize this, the Win Mag is a grower and the Norma Mag is a shower.
Well, it's interesting because I've started working very, very slowly into reloading and talking with the guys at my local shop who also reload. We've talked about the difference between, say, like 308 or 270 or even 260 Winchester versus like 6.5 Creedmoor. And when I was always talking about like 6.5 Creedmoor, I was like, well, 6.5 Creedmoor is just a neck down version of 308. And they're like, no, that's not actually right. Yes, I see where you're going with that, but you're not right, because 308's neck on the casing is kind of conical. So
yeah,
it's kind
you
of
can you can have the same conversation with Norma and Win Mag. You'll see like the shape of the shoulder will be different and the length of the neck will be different.
Yes.
And I mean, that does numbers in regards to headspace, just changing how the propellant's going to burn inside the cartridge. Stability for seating the neck, crimpability, like it makes a huge difference. Even just that angle of the shoulder is going to definitely mess with how your round's performing.
Yep. And that was one of the interesting things too, because I didn't even realize that, like on a 308 with it, the neck being conical, there's not much interface onto the actual bullet, whereas that causes the bullet to kind of jump in the chamber between where the round sits versus where the rifling starts. There's a little bit of a jump there, and it cause that round to shimmy a little bit within the barrel, whereas Creedmoor's, you have much more engagement on the bullet itself because the neck is 90
degrees of superior in firearms development. It seems like. I think that's like the number one thing. Like every time I use Q's suppressor mounts like the Cherry Bomb and everything like that, and their whole thing is like right angles, man. Right angles. It seats everything nice and neat, and everything's all lined up. We start playing with cone shapes. things go astray really, really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the neck makes a big difference, but even like, right, your projectiles, what's hitting, that's obviously going to play a major role in that flight path. The angle of the knee plat, so the tip towards where like it starts to be conical out and then flatten. The point right before it flattens to the tip is your knee plat. That angle will make a night and day difference on performance once it impacts. And you can change it by like marginal degrees and see huge variations in performance.
Yeah, and that's something that we went further on to discuss between the differences between like 260 Winchester versus 6.5 Creedmoor, and just how well 260 is extremely accurate, or can be extremely accurate, but the Creedmoor rounds ends up being just that much more ahead because of all of the things that they've basically taken out of the kind of the slop, I guess you could say, that has been taken out of the bullet just in the design of itself, which then leads to diving into all the other different types of Creedmoors. So you've gone from 6.5 Creedmoor, which is something that is really one of my favorite rounds to shoot for not only deer hunting, but coyote hunting too. Now, Brett, he's gotten into 22 Creedmoor, which is a 6.5 Creedmoor round neck down to 22. And that thing is laser. It is like 3,600.
That thing has a crazy flat trajectory.
Yeah,
that is.
He said he showed me video. He showed me thermal video of him taking a coyote at like 410 yards, and he just put the reticle right on the dog and pulled the trigger. And he didn't have to worry about any type of like holdovers or anything. It's just so flat in how he zeroed it. It's crazy. It's just really, really crazy.
That's a round that has a really good ballistic coefficient. So you talk about distance shots, you're not going to have to worry as much about wind and everything else. It really is just a very flat trajectory.
And is that something that you could speak on just a little bit? I know that, again, we like to geek out on this type of stuff, but can you kind of explain in layman's term why ballistic coefficients can be really important for certain types of round?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's largely going to change with velocity as your round flies, but I mentioned wind, right?
Mm-hmm.
In real world settings, we expect variations. We expect even just manufacturing flaws.
Mm-hmm.
We look at projectiles and they seem smooth to all of us. You look at it under a microscope and there's a lot of little divots and bumps and grooves. Having a low ballistic coefficient with a round that is imperfect, you're going to start seeing that round spiral very faster, have unpredictable pitch and yaw cycles. And at the end of the day, when you hit target, you're not going to be able to confidently say what it will or won't do. So being able to have some control over ballistic coefficient within your round's effective range is you really need that to make sure that your round is consistent and reliable in its impact performance.
Interesting. Yep. And that's one of the things that I've really appreciated about some of these more modern rounds is their abilities to buck the wind a little bit better than some of the more traditional rounds like 308 or 300 Win Mag or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, we live here in Kansas, so it's like across you shoot and like halfway down your trajectory, like there's a crosswind of like 50 miles per hour in a house. Like you just no idea what's gonna show up.
Yeah, which is crazy to like Robski just earlier this week from AK Operators Union. He just shot, was it 5 for 10 at like 500 and some odd yards with a 20-mile-an-hour crosswind. It was crazy.
Yeah,
it was
that's wild.
That blizzard that came through. Yeah. He went out in the weather and shot 5 for 10 at 500 yards with an AK, with an M70. So yeah, it was pretty impressive. So, and the people say, well, AK round can't, really do well in the wind, and after 300 yards, it's anemic. And Robski's he's all about it. It's crazy to see stuff like that.
There's definitely way more capability than the internet angry keyboard warriors like to give on a lot of rounds. You get people who are emotional, and it's like a favorite sports team.
Yeah, it's crazy, like the amount of people you will just see online. It's like, well, after X amount of feet or X amount of yards, or this round becomes anemic and it's not viable anymore. And then the next day I go to a shooting where a guy got killed like 22 rounds to the chest.
Right.
You're like, it doesn't matter if it's anemic as long as it hits something.
That's all
that matters.
If the round performs predictably, you can compensate at X distance. If it's going to have a huge drop after 500 yards, well, guess what? Now you can adjust your aim for that drop. As long as you have consistent and reliable, like both weapon and ammo. Yeah. You can work around any problem like that.
And like Rhett Neumeier from Demonstrated Concepts says it all the time. Like, especially for he does a lot of handguns and defensive shootings. Like at handgun distance, like 5-7 yards. The only argument we're having at this point is how big of a hole I'm putting in somebody.
Right.
And if I'm putting a 50 cal hole in someone's elbow, that doesn't matter. But if I'm putting 22 holes in someone's face, that's a completely different.
Shot placement. Yeah, shot placement is definitely number one. I think people like to see all of the information that comes out of like jobs like mine and YouTubers and stuff who like to test rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And they see those differences on paper. And you can definitely obviously look at that and have the conversation of, well, look, this is that much better for XYZ reasons. But they fail to realize that like we collect that kind of data not because we're nitpicking over the tiny little nuances, but we need that in order to see how consistent or what changes affect in which way. Like, how do you make different rounds? Well, how the impacts were on all of this other stuff, and we can translate that. But people like to see it in, you read your forums online and they're like, oh, well, this is like a 2% difference in performance. It has to be better. Like, no, it's really not. It's really not.
So I guess being in the space, like not being chronically online and into ballistics, what's like the biggest pet peeve you have when it comes to like round, like selection discussion? Like, what's the biggest thing you just look at people and you're like, I don't have the bandwidth for you guys today?
I hate the barrel length supremacy conversations.
Mm-hmm. We all know it's 20 inches.
Well, that's just not a reasonable standard. Come on now. I think most guys are using 16, and that's just fine.
Some would say the 20 inches hurt, okay? 16 is just fine.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's definitely a conversation that irks me. Just because, it's not that barrel length doesn't matter. There's so much more overlap in performance than people want to acknowledge. And you can almost always compensate for barrel length by adjusting the charge of your projectile. Like, let's adjust the propellant that we're putting in. Let's adjust, the projectile and we can compensate through the bullet for barrel length.
And my favorite, every time I see those conversations too that take place on the internet, everyone's like, the 10.5 or the 11.3, like, or the 14. Pick any barrel length, and we're mainly talking about ARs for some reason.
Kitty cat, the 7-inch 5.56 that Micah just shot.
Yeah, and everyone's so cute. Everyone is like, you know what? It's just if I have to like reach out and tag someone at 500 yards, and like, first of all, if you are in a self-defense shooting at 500 yards,
that's not self-defense.
You're going to fucking prison. First of all. And two, I don't think you've ever shot, like most people, you've probably shot 500 yards. I'm not going to say that, but the chances of you shooting at 500 yards is relatively low as is. So pick something that you like, have fun with it, and also be useful for, maybe, I don't need a 20-inch barrel to shoot the 5 feet from my bed to the door to my house. Like, you don't need that.
Yeah, most people are going to a range that does not get out to any capability to really care about, I'm going to say, rifle caliber performance in general.
Yeah.
You are not going to see the nuances at that point, and myself included, we are not good enough shots to notice the nuances. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll talk to the sniper guys, the SOCOM guys, your competition shooters who are like crazy absurd levels. Those guys might notice, but we're not.
I say that all the time too. Like, we have a bunch of guys at our department that, you know, are trying to convince, you know, certain like we need to have staccatos, we need to have, you know, G34Cs. I'm like, man, you can barely fucking qualify with your normal Glock 17. So like, once you work on qualifying good on that, like a staccato isn't going to change anything. And one guy, he at our department did buy a staccato, and he shot it. A qual. He looked at it, he's like, I spent way too much money for this. It doesn't matter. Like, I think that's just an overall common theme, especially it's an industry. We live, unfortunately, in a gun industry. So someone builds something, tries to sell it to you, so you will go buy it. And if you say it's better than X, Y, and Z, it's, you know, you need to go out and get this right now, or you get killed in the streets. Yeah, and everyone sits there and laughs with revolvers in their pockets, like, nah, I'm good.
Kind of like that fanny pack that you just bought.
Now, first of all, that was a want, not a need. That was definitely, and I do have a trip coming up, and it'd be perfect for fitting a Game Boy plus my camera in it. So
see, that's good use, multi-purpose, not just firearms. No, but that's a great point you just said there. It's a want versus a need. Mm-hmm. No, they're cool too. They're coming back, and I'm happy for that.
Well, as a new dad, you realize that there's a lot of shit you got to carry now. That's not just like for you anymore. Before, it's like, I can get away with like a pocket knife and a pistol in a pocket. I'm good.
Try being a lady and not being able to carry your phone in normal circumstances.
Yeah, I guess you guys, you know, I guess you guys' pocket issues is terrible.
Which, on that note, you guys will get a kick out of this. Okay. The other weekend, I very angrily and begrudgingly sat down with my friend, and we cut our pockets.
Ooh.
And I don't know, it was like this iron-on thing instead of us having to sew, but we cut fabric to make extended pockets. And now I have pants that will like fit an AK, like an AR mag. You won't even see it. Like, it is completely covered. I went from like barely fitting half my hand in to just full mag shoved down my face.
As the Lord intended.
Mark, I'm gonna send you a picture on Instagram.
Oh, you should.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You should totally do that.
Yeah, I think that's another travesty we can get into women's fashion about. It's not utilitarian clothes like the Levi's I have right now. I have a tourniquet and a revolver in one pocket, and it's like halfway down my thigh, and then you have my wife has that issue all the time where I have to hold her goddamn phone all the time because the pockets, the jeans she bought doesn't have pockets.
Well, see, and I think that boils more down to marketing and women's clothes, women's fashion marketing more than anything else. Because, I mean, women can wear jeans just like you, right? Sure they can, but they don't. Most of them are wearing what she's wearing right now. My girlfriend sitting in the corner over here, she's wearing freaking Lululemon freaking spinning right? Yeah. But you would wear those on a normal basis. Would you say you would wear them on a normal basis? Okay, I know your
I don't know if the microphones are picking up the responses.
But it doesn't matter.
It's a very one-sided conversation.
I understand her position on pockets. She wants pockets and everything. But
they want the pockets. They don't seek the pockets.
I think because they're the female fashion industry is mansplaining that they don't need.
You need a man, not pockets.
Listen, that's how you sell purses.
Exactly. Actually, that's probably the better response. That's how you sell purses.
Yeah.
Expensive purses.
Yeah.
Don't put pockets on things, so they have to buy a purse.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's a new conspiracy theory. Big Pockets doesn't want you to know about the big purse industries and the pocket of Big Pockets.
I think it's Coach. We need to blame Coach.
Speaking of, I'm gonna if you want to talk about tangents today, took a report. Some lady lost a $2,000 hoodie.
What?
$2,000 hoodie.
What?
Hoodie.
Yeah, hoodie.
What kind of hoodie was it?
That's a Dior cashmere hoodie.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Boy.
That person's 20 years old, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, isn't that crazy? Yeah,
that hurts my soul.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, Joko.
Joko. Yeah. So around here, Jesse, we have the Joko girls, which is Johnson County. Johnson
County, one of the richest counties in the United States.
It's the richest county
in
Kansas for sure.
Yeah, that's like one of the richest counties in the United States. I think it's like top 10.
Yeah, and so anytime
loud and number one,
see someone
for no reason
driving around like idiotically, swerving and stuff like that, more than likely, if you look at the license plate, it's probably going to be from Johnson County, and it's probably going to be a Jeep, and it's probably going to be a woman looking on her phone.
Okay, we're not getting sexist here. Okay?
No, I'm just telling. We're talking about the Joko girls.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to be sexist. I'm just saying. So, and a Tridel.
That's also part of the equation for today's events.
Seriously?
That was a Tridel.
No way.
Everyone else has, so might as well.
Jeez, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jesse. This is
no. I like
quick.
your girlfriend's giggles in the background. It's very entertaining.
Yeah, it's a travesty because we have a third mic, and Mark never sets it up for her.
What the heck?
I know.
You're gonna bring me back so I can have a good conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
No, we only do one. You only get one show.
No, she does not. No, she does not. So
no, we're about to get to the point where we're like, we won't have people on for seconds. So
but let's get back to our guests.
Pockets, yes. Let's get back to pockets.
And
I did send you a picture, by the way.
Oh, okay. I'm pulling it up now. Oh,
there's a game changer. Maybe I should make a video on that so other women can.
Yeah, maybe enjoy. Like a DIY of like how to fit AR mags in American Eagle jeans. Maybe Lucas Botkin will enjoy that as well.
His might be too skinny. I don't know.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. Yeah,
and we're just jabbing at everyone tonight. Let's go.
Yeah, we're all fine. Fair game, right?
So,
people jab at us too. So
no one knows us, so we were safe.
Yeah. So what? Let's back way up here.
Are we going back to cosplay?
No, we'll get there. We'll get there for sure. But let's back up to, obviously we've been talking about ballistics and your day job and stuff like that. How did you even get into this, right? So for anyone out there who's listening, it's like, this sounds right up my alley. I want to do that. How did she do it?
Our second sponsor, Sonora Desert Institute.
Great segue. Perfect. Thank you.
No, not a sponsor of our channel. We met them once and
not recommending.
They told us they won't give us lab coats. So
yeah, that's correct.
I have a friend that was going through SDI when we met them. I'm like, hey, it was so cool if you can get a lab coat. And like, yeah, we didn't make those. They made them on their own, and we have no idea why anybody wants them.
That would be such a good selling point, right?
Lean into it.
People want it, own it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I get asked that a bit actually, and I'm gonna say kind of dumb luck, to be honest. I was absolutely a hobbyist shooter before I was an industry employee. And I still carry that through. It's cool that I get to use work as an opportunity to learn so much more.
Sure.
But so dumb luck, out of college, when I did my bachelor's, I got a job in explosives, which was literally just
as one does.
Like, I literally just stumbled across the job posting and I was like, no freaking way. Like, of course I'm gonna apply. This is cool as shit. I love that job. That will absolutely be like my favorite job of all time. I miss it terribly. But from there, I kind of evolved into, I knew it wasn't going anywhere in terms of growth. Like, the job I had was what it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking around and refined it into, hey, I like energetics. I like guns. Let me see where I can take this.
Is that the scientific term for it? Energetics?
Energetics is the politically correct way of saying explosives. It sounds
nice.
less scary in public if you say, I work on energetics versus, hey, so I made an explosive last night.
Yeah.
One has Uncle Ted vibes and one has government.
Yeah, definitely. Energetics is more kosher for public ears.
That's going to be the title of this episode.
Energetics and Uncle Ted.
Yeah, I can't imagine I'm not on a lot of lists just with my work history.
Just don't Google your work stuff at home.
But I will say, if people are looking to get into it, there are universities now that will sell degrees in armaments, in ballistics, things like that. I would actually recommend against it. There's a difference between if you want to learn smithing, that's obviously a very hands-on technical trade type thing. You need to do it through that way. But from a design perspective, you will learn a lot of the engineering basics through a generic engineering background, whether it be mechanical. My master's is in materials, which was great in regards to like case design and picking alloys, really fine-tuning propellants. Because this way you're open in terms of jobs. It's cool to say, I want a job in ammo, I want a job in guns. It's a lot harder to find it. And when the opportunity comes, cool, apply. Good luck to those people. But I would definitely advise against limiting it, because applying that engineering knowledge to ballistics it's super easy. Like, it fits together, it makes sense, and then you can build your skills from there. Going the other way doesn't look as nice to alternate employers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you go to let's say, like, I don't even know, like Chevron, like, yeah, the only idea I have is explosives. They're gonna look at you like, yeah, we probably won't.
How do you fit here? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're in areas that have, whether it be gun manufacturers or ammo companies or whatever, try to find internships. Don't be afraid of taking jobs that are with just, whether it be assembly or testing. Get a foot in the door. That's really the best way to do it. But yeah, you don't need anything fancy. I have chemistry, materials engineering, and really good timing on finding job postings.
Yeah, there you go. That's pretty cool.
And a good personality, that always helps too.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. So one of the last things that I want to touch on when it comes to the whole ballistic side of your I guess origin story is, you mentioned just now the case design and the alloys and stuff like that. I know that one of the new rounds that was introduced late last year, early this year, is the 7mm backcountry, which is a very interesting kind of long-range precision hunting round, I guess you could say. But the interesting piece of it is that the casing is a metal alloy that is capable of being reloaded. Is that something that you will probably see a lot more of in the future, if you were guessing?
I think there's definitely a shift towards trying to figure out new case capabilities. Right, we can look at the 6.8 stuff with the hybrid case. Even that in of itself, brass is only capable of hitting so much pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to really start pushing the capabilities of modern ballistics, you have to put something else out there that can handle different propellants, different pressures, without breaking. There's definitely efforts in a lot of people in the industry to try and figure out new cases. I mean, hell, we saw the polymer stuff was trying to take traction too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that is stemming from a limit in what the current cases we're using have. So I think you'll see more stuff coming out that'll be niche. I think a lot of reasons steel never took traction here in the States. You think of it with your Milsurp shitty com block guns. But a big reason people don't like it is because it's not reloadable.
Mm-hmm.
So adding that feature in, if you can manufacture it cheaper and now it's reloadable, you're going to have a huge sell. But it really does come down to a big conversation of steel can let you get way higher pressures. Way higher pressures means we have much more wiggle room and playroom in what a projectile can do.
It's interesting. It's interesting to see what the industry is going to end up doing moving forward. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we go back to the point you brought up before. We're definitely in the wild west of ammo design again. Mm-hmm. We're seeing a lot more come out, and it's cool. I'm excited to see all of the new things, even the stuff that I think is silly, kind of gimmicky, but it's those gimmicks that let you get progress.
Yeah, I think that oddly enough, I think the most gimmicky, like new round that I even heard of just recently was a gentleman was talking to me about 410 with tungsten shot.
Right.
Like 410 shotgun using tungsten shot for duck hunting or turkey hunting, and it's just like
where's the Jurassic Park gif of like scientists never stop to ask what do they shoot?
It's like cool. Yeah, I mean, I was like, oh, that's super interesting. I went home and the second I got done talking about, like, pull up my phone, and it's like, yeah, but it's like $3 a round.
God, right? So, who's using these things?
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. Now, like ballistically, it sounds pretty cool because it, like, I guess the tungsten keeps its I guess it's energy better than steel shot does somehow. Like, I don't know the math behind it, but
so tungsten's malleable, right? Well, okay. It's gonna impact how I say malleable. Tungsten's like the hardest freaking thing ever. Yeah, it's gonna change how the energy is dispersed upon that impact point.
Yeah.
And allow it to transfer through the rest of the projectile different. So you can definitely get much better impact performance out of it. It's cool. Not for everything, but it's cool.
Not for shooting ducks for $3
not for shooting ducks. That might be a little overboard.
Well, I mean, it was just interesting because growing up as a goose hunter and a duck hunter and a pheasant hunter, it's like 3-inch magnums just to hit these fucking geese, just to like knock them down. And now it's just some guys like, I shoot a 410 shotgun at them and kill them all the time.
Oh,
like, son of a bitch. My shoulders didn't dislocate for like 20 years now.
Damn youths and their technology.
Yeah, those Canadians, they're getting theirs now, though. So,
yeah.
All right. So, I had one question that I'm going to pull the pin out of my knee. If there's one round that had to go away forever, what would it be?
Oh.
Like years, like, I'm sick of this thing. This is stupid.
And tell us why it's 40 Smith.
I was going to say the 410 shotgun of tungsten.
So you guys know already. You answered it for me.
For me, I can tell you, just to interject, if it was me, it would be 40 Smith & Wesson.
That one's already seeing itself out the door. Let's not kick it even more.
It is dying a very slow, painful death.
Yeah,
and I get into arguments all the time with people. It's like, oh, it's so much better. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, okay, sure, yeah, okay. Why did the FBI move away from it then? Answer me that.
That's interesting because there's a lot of reasons decisions like that are made. And not that I'm disagreeing. I don't think it's a great round by any means. But I
understand its invention. I mean, obviously the Miami-Dade shootout in 1986, I think it was, that played a huge role in its development. But yeah, I think that modern technology has brought 9mm into the same realm. I'm not going to say that they're equal. They're not, but they've brought it into the same realm that it's going to be more lethal than it was in the mid to early 80s, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't want to steal your thunder.
No. Hell, I guess I'm going to give a stupid answer here. I don't understand the point of the 950 JDJs. It's a powerful round.
What's that?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm Googling it right now.
I would Google it, but I left my phone in my truck. So just like raw dogging his entire conversation.
We all are, right? We're just kind of going with the punches. But I think, Kentucky Ballistics definitely did a video on this one. It is a freaking beast of a round. It is.
Oh, that's girthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I can't say it's not cool as hell. It's based on a 20 by 102 mil round, the Vulcan cartridges, I believe.
So,
but what is anyone doing with this? Please?
Not very long, but all the girth,
Girth, barrel size doesn't matter. Girth does.
3,600 grain projectile.
God, that's freaking.
Yeah, you get hit. I mean,
is this the one that sent him to the hospital?
No, it's a 50 cal.
I know.
It slapped the shit out of him.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I mean, not to say that it's not cool, but I don't know in what world this was designed for. I'd like to see actual usage. Who can justify why they need this?
I mean, it probably has some sort of use because it's a round. I mean,
right?
Probably like a pretty good anti-vehicle round, but like a soft, like striker and below round. But
yeah, it's a weird one for sure. I don't think anyone would miss it. That's what I'm gonna say.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that if you were to look on Wikipedia, typically when you look up any type of cartridge, it gives you some type of history or development or anything. Nope. Nothing here. It is a powerful, large caliber rifle cartridge developed by American gunsmith and weapon designer J.D. Jones of SSK Industries. That's it.
Okay, so I literally just Googled trying to find intent, and the 950 JDJ rifles and caliber is primarily used for shooting at shooting ranges.
Oh, I mean,
well, of course, but shooting into trash.
But there is an entire industry around those guys that make the 30, 40 pound.
Oh God, yeah.
Bolt action rifles where they're shooting stuff like this for.
I mean, that thing is like a freaking tank round. Let's be realistic. Yeah. That is a World War tank round. I guess you don't have to worry about armor at all in any capacity.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
I mean, I see, people like Kentucky Ballistics and even John Patton from the Gun Collective. They love big bore firearms, anything bigger than half an inch. Let's get on it. Let's do it. If
small cal is teetering the line of artillery, we're in for a fun time.
Yeah. So
I want to fire indirect fire weapons from my shoulder and or hand.
You already dislocated yours. It's fine.
Yeah. So what Jefe? What
9mm.
Oh,
I want to watch the world burn.
Shut up. Okay.
It's one of those
I'm sorry. What kind of pistol do you carry on your day job?
Yeah, 9mm.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish I could not, but it's no hate for 9mm. It's just it's the Honda Civic of the modern day world, and I'm just kind of sick and tired of it. It's more of I want to go back to the glory days where you get a 6-shot revolver and you got to solve your problems with it.
See, I want to go say this before you mentioned with your fanny pack, it was a want, not a need.
Yeah.
I think people forget that in the firearms industry too.
Oh, yeah.
There is nothing wrong with just saying, I want this. I don't care if X gun is better. I don't care if X round is better. I like it. I want it. And that's a valid reason. That's cool.
And guess what? If you shoot animals with it, it's probably going to...
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I ended up dropping $1,400 yesterday on a revolver. So
my influence is finally picking up. I am now an influencer.
Is that why you saw his truck at the shop? That's the purchase.
It's one of them. Again, I will text him every time I see him. Hey, what you buying today? And it's usually this is the only one I've approved of recently. So
here's the story, real quick. A mutual friend of Jefe and I. He traded a rifle for 2 pistols, and both of the pistols were East German Makarovs. And so he calls me up and was like, "Hey man, do you know anything about Makarovs?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know a little bit. I know enough to get me in trouble here. What's going on?" And he's like, "Well, I've got these 2 East Germans, and I just kind of need to know if I did a good job here on this trade. I gave him this $1,000 rifle, and I got 2 East German Macs. And I was like, bro, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
That poor guy did not know what he had.
No, he didn't. And he's like, well, I'm going to keep the real nice one, but the other one, I think I'm going to unload it. And I was like, I want it. And he's like,
I mean, those are relic items. The East German ones, that is.
Yeah. Yeah. So he brings it to me. I look at it. It's in pristine condition. I mean, for a 1961 firearm, there's like hardly any wear on the slide. It's really, really looks gorgeous. Right. So he and I started talking and wheeling, dealing, and he's like, well, I mean, you got anything you want to trade? Anything you want to unload? And I was like, well, I got this revolver. I really don't do much with it. I usually carry it when I go out to my property in Wyoming. How about this? If you're okay, I'll trade you straight up this revolver for the East German Mac. I'll include a holster. I'll include ammo. And he's like, done. Let's do it. So we traded, and obviously did a bill of sale to make sure that everybody is in the legal purposes.
Check your local laws.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sure that public private sales are legal where you are at.
Exactly. So now
they are here.
I have a gap in what I would normally carry on my property in Wyoming. So I need to replace the revolver that I just got rid of. So I just decided to go and end up getting a Smith & Wesson R8.
Hey, there you go. That'll be a fun one.
Technically it's the TRR8. So it's
got
like
the TRR8.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's the
it's I mean, either or, they do the same thing.
It's pretty much, yeah. But so yeah, it's one that I've shot before. It's a lot of fun to shoot. It kind of has a little bit more of a dystopian future revolver kind of vibe.
Firefly vibes.
Yeah. Firefly.
I was gonna do a video based off of Firefly.
You
probably am. I still probably am.
You are.
Yes. I'm glad you said that. So yeah, Firefly has some cool stuff.
Okay, so I'm going to freely admit that I have not made it through all of Firefly.
And me both. It's something that recently was pushed on me by some friends, but the people who love it.
I know. It's like
a cult.
Kind of.
Yeah. No, it's
my buddy Dan Booker. He's on Instagram. He and I compete at like Clash Bash and stuff like that together. I'm trying to figure out his Instagram handle. It's I don't Brown Coat DH is his Instagram handle, but every single post that he has, he puts in all the hashtags and everything in the description. Firefly is always in it.
Oh, I mean,
you
got to play the analytics game.
Yeah, he's a Firefly fanatic. So anyway, yeah. But you should totally do a cosplay. One of the things that I just last night, as Nan and I were kind of shutting things down, I usually turn on YouTube to watch like one video before I go to bed. And I came across the video of the guns of the mummy.
Yeah, that one's popped up a couple times on my.
Just from like a couple of days, it uploaded like a couple of days ago.
Yeah, is that firearm for you?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's doing one.
He's doing that.
He's going to do one, yes. But this is a completely different channel.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the name of it? Do you remember, Nan? Okay. So the name of the channel was something in the movies or something like that. But he basically just talks about firearms in movies, and he goes in and talks about the history and how it correlates into the movie and all these different things. Was it? Guns in movies.
Guns N' Roses.
Guns
N' Roses.
Yeah, Guns in movies. So if you guys are listening, definitely check it out. I would love to see Jesse do one of something like Firefly or whatever floats your boat.
Hey, you heard it here first. Firefly is in the works. So.
There you go. There it is.
In production.
Production.
When's your release schedule? Once a week? Once a month?
I try to do twice a month. I was doing 3 for a bit, but twice a month. We'll have a new video coming out the 17th. The Firefly one's not going to come out that fast, though. Give me a minute here.
So this was not coming out till what, March or 15th?
The 15th.
This is 15th?
Yep.
No, thank you. Sorry. Can we get a teaser or what it's going to be? Your next video?
Hey, I can just outright say I've covered a lot of bolt actions, and there's one that's missing. Can't ignore the Mauser here, right?
Oh, Mauser, really?
Yeah,
okay.
actually,
I was getting ready to say 1903, but
I'm gonna yes, also on my checklist of things to do, but yeah, it would be a disgrace to cover all of the other ones I have and not the Mauser.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Tucker just dropped one off of my house and it's like, hey, what is this?
That's right, he did.
It's a Spanish M1913.
Is it?
That's the best I could find. Like, that's the best guess I have.
Really?
Yeah, because it has 0 markings on this rifle. It has like a couple serial, like the bolt and the barrel, and some other stuff has some serial numbers, but like there's no other markings, and it's a sporterized stock. So like no idea what it is. I was like, hey, this is my best guess, because he wants to find a new stock. It's a crack stock on it.
Yeah. He was telling me it was like going straight down the vertical axis of the buttstock.
And I told him, like, hey man, it's a Mauser. Just buy a Mauser stock. I don't even tell you. Like, I'll try to figure out what it is, but best guess is a Spanish M19. No, M1916. Sorry, 1916. I don't have my phone with me. It's super weird that I have to actually remember things, and actually from like a point of I have experienced this. Now I'm going to pull it up on my phone right now.
Do you have your wife's phone number memorized?
Yep, I sure do.
That's good.
That was like the first thing, like when we started seriously dating. I'm like, I need to memorize this phone number because that's kind of important. It blows my mind how people don't memorize phone numbers these days. Yeah, or addresses or anything like that.
I'm that bad.
Okay, so we got like 20 minutes left. Let's talk about this cosplay thing.
Oh,
how'd you get into cosplay? Let's talk about that. And like,
gosh,
what is like? Are you just a weekender thing, or is this something like?
Are you just a National Guard? Are you a nasty girl? Is that what it is?
Or is this like I have an entire room dedicated to like construction, and I could probably start a second YouTube channel of all the cool cosplay stuff.
I wish I had the time and money to dedicate that much to it. Yeah, if that's what you mean by weekender, I guess I am a weekender. I am actually very into art. I draw a lot, I paint a lot. I like to do just crafty, artsy things. So, I mean,
it's not like Pageosity, but
yeah, she's cool too, absolutely. But we don't play games, right? We play video games, we see movies, and there's just an armor or a character, and you're like, holy shit, that's cool. I want to try making that. And you start watching videos, and you see how people work with like the Eva foam and Warbler, and it just expands from there. You try something smaller, and you're like, oh, that wasn't too bad. I could probably do a bigger project. It's an addiction from that point.
That's I mean, that's how it starts. Like, I made this like one small unique thing. This is cool. And next thing
it's cool to create things, right? Like there's definitely something satisfying in making something and being able to say like, hey, look, I did this. And art in general, cosplay included, definitely gives me that satisfaction.
So you mentioned video games. You mentioned your recent cosplay. Like, I'm assuming you play video games then.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So what's the current squeeze? What's your?
Come on now, Monster Hunter just came out.
Okay, the new Monster Hunter. Okay,
gotta binge that. But
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm a big Deep Rock Galactic fan. That is something I will always go back to and binge if you're familiar with, but
no, I can't say it.
I can't say on that one. I'm sorry.
I'm at that old man phase. I'm playing like the PlayStation 1 games, the Super Nintendo games all over again. That
I absolutely go back.
Yes,
SNES. Yeah.
Although I did see they finally released the Delta Force game that came out a couple months ago. They released the Black Hawk Down version of it.
Yep.
And there's a part where it's like, hey, it's you and a buddy protecting a pilot and the objective is to survive, and you don't. Spoiler alert: Gordy's gone. Yeah. I'll be outside. Good luck, man.
Good luck.
So, I was watching. My buddy's been playing it, and he's been telling me about it, and I just happened to run into like a YouTube short of it. And I'm like, oh god, like you can live it now. It's and it's pretty close. Like I think the starting scenes you actually, or when you die, it shows like the pilot holding the picture of his family and then getting the shit kicked out of him.
Oh yeah,
you're like, oh god,
it's rough looking for sure.
Yeah. So I'm just a Skyrim kind of guy. That's a game that I go back to time and time again.
I'm going to get hate for this.
Okay.
I have never actually played through Skyrim.
Don't.
And I have good reason. I have tried many times.
Dude.
It was great in 2008 when it came out.
But now my fridge can play it. So it's better now.
It's better. I've linked my toaster to my fridge and I can play it 24/7. No, this is my biggest gripe with the AAA gaming right now and the concept of open world games. We have lost the art of the story behind video games, and we've gathered more of I'll have a open, empty world full of random hodgepodge, just nothingness.
Yeah.
That has there's some threads around. There's some things. Skyrim's probably did it the best out of anybody so far,
Thank you for acknowledging.
Out of the crappy genre.
Mark, I've wanted to play Skyrim. My game is just perpetually broken, so I'm on your side.
Okay.
Oh, it's broken? What happened?
I have tried to get different downloads like 6 or 7 times, and no matter what I do, it won't run. I had to get a save file from someone else to get past the opening cutscene in order for the game to work, and then past that, all of the animals in the game decide that they want to breakdance and launch themselves into orbit.
Yes, that's pretty awesome.
As Lord intended.
So I'm assuming you're a PC gamer.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up on PlayStation, but
so I'm console, and I can tell you that if right now I have a horse that is named Shadowmere that follows me everywhere I go, and if I save a game while I'm on horseback, I end up, and I come back to the game later on. When I load that, I end up like 20,000 feet in the air.
That's a feature. Yeah.
Some will call that bag. I call it a feature. It's really great.
So I understand your pain with that. And I have to, even on the Xbox, when I bring it up, just from the home screen, I have to do it like 2 or 3 times before it'll even load correctly.
Yeah, it's broken.
It's really weird. Yeah. So
game of the year. Sure. We'll go with that. Hey, so speaking of game of the year, what is since we only got we're like on the crunch, we're starting like rapid fire questions. Favorite game of all time? Go.
BioShock.
Oh,
okay, interesting.
That's one I haven't heard from in a long time. That's pretty cool.
Impulse decision there, but the story on that, phenomenal. I'm a big story player.
That's what I try to explain to like the younger generation that just don't understand. Like, they used to be books. They used to be so much fun to play. They had a great story, and you were really invested.
Lost couch co-op.
Oh yeah,
we lost good stories, and we lost couch co-op. I just want to sit down with some friends and in the same room enjoy a good game.
It's getting to the point where I have to like rig up a way to play Choo Choo Rocket on the Dreamcast just to have like a good drunk like couch co-op game.
What is that?
Choo Choo Rocket is the best way I can describe it is just chaos on a screen, and you're trying to guide mice into your hole so your cat can eat it. Yes, your hole. It's like 3 people just looked up like it's not a euphemism.
He's wording this bad. You want to get your mice into the rocket so that they don't get eaten.
You have to pay the toll to get into the hole.
So you played it?
I'm from
a fellow Choo Choo Rocket aficionado.
Whoa, I am familiar.
Yeah, that was like the college drunk game we used to play all the time.
Yeah, there's some stupid good games like that we just don't see that kind of stuff anymore.
I think the last good couch co-op game that I can say that I enjoyed was Untitled Goose Game.
Oh, that's fun.
That was a ton of fun to play.
Yeah.
Just sitting with somebody, having a couple beers, and just causing havoc.
Absolutely.
As a goose.
Yeah,
Yes.
Naturally.
I have it. Coriana plays it all the time.
So fun.
And I'll be like in the office, doing something like she'll be here on spring break or over the summer, and I'm just typing away on my computer and just keep on hearing this honk, 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 honk. I'm like, what the hell is going on out there? And I poke my head out, and she's like, just playing the goose game.
I gotta give a lot of love to Overcooked.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's another good couch co-op, kind of just fun with your friends. Even worse if you have alcohol involved. But I'll give them credit for that, since it's still a relatively newer. I say that, and then someone's gonna look at the date it came out, and I'm gonna regret my concept of time immediately.
Well, the I think that the pinnacle of couch co-op games, especially when it comes to alcohol, is Keep Talking and No One Explodes.
Oh, that's a fun one too.
That is, it gets really, really difficult the more alcohol you get.
They put the mode in where you have to do the Morse code to get some of that's where I start to fall apart.
So it's a game where you defuse bombs. One person's looking at the screen with the bomb, and the other person is in the other room with the manual yelling the instructions back and forth how to defuse it. And it gets really, really challenging the more alcohol you have.
Oh yeah, that sounds awesome. That sounds like an awesome drinking game.
It will just ruin friendships. Yeah. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, don't play with people with anger issues.
Well, the interesting thing is, one of the things that my girlfriend Nan and I have been doing is we've been watching some videos on.
You can't talk about that on foot.
We've been talking about
dude, it's family show.
No, we've been watching YouTube videos about.
That means nothing. I've seen questionable stuff.
Yeah, that's true. But we'll watch YouTube videos on like going back to like the old NES games and stuff like that. I didn't realize. I knew that Super Mario Brothers 3 was popular, but I didn't realize how it changed everything.
Yeah, the Nintendo itself was like the saving grace of the video game industry in the United States. It's crazy, like the story behind all that.
Oh yeah.
Like, if for anybody, again, we are primarily like firearms in the industry channel. If you are interested in video games at all, learn about the history of the Nintendo and like the video game crisis of the 80s in the United States. And it's like it's wild to think that, in the 80s, we went from literally burying video games in the desert because we don't want to play them anymore.
Yes.
To now it is one of the biggest phenomenons that, everyone's playing video games now.
Yeah.
Well, you gave me a new rabbit hole to dive into. So
be very, 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 very careful because what did Nintendo start?
Oh, it started as a brothel.
Well, before that. It started as playing cards.
Oh yes, they started with playing cards.
And then they ended up buying property, and that property then turned into like a hotel that rented by the hour. So yeah, that was there's a lot of interest. Like
that's wild.
There's a lot of gaming histories. Is
Nintendo had a brothel. Now they make children's games.
They refuse to make a PG-13 game.
Oh my god, that gives a whole new perspective to Peach being captured by Bowser. I know we all make the jokes, but
and why they'll never introduce Bowserette.
Jesus.
So
wow, yeah. So there you go. All right.
Yeah, another rabbit hole to just go into. There was a guy, actually, he was in Kansas City, the gaming historian. He recently retired from his job, but talked a lot about like how games were developed, like the development cycle behind things. Like his big like magnum opus was the Oregon Trail, like how that game.
Yes, this is what I'm referencing. That YouTube channel, that YouTube video about Super Mario Brothers 3 is what I'm referencing.
Yeah, it's the gaming story. He I don't know if he's still there, but he lived in Kansas City. He actually lived down the road from where we were doing my drills at.
That's cool.
So
yeah, and the Oregon Trail episode was really, really cool.
Like the 2-hour cinematic masterpiece about how it was just a bunch of dudes making a video game, and it's like the story of Apple that just never took off.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I can tie this back to our firearms discussion.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the Wild West of ammo manufacturing, and you look at early firearms, early ballistics. Obviously, people didn't know what stuck, so it made sense that you were seeing all sorts of wacky shit.
Like the rocket.
Early video game development, people were just being artists. They were just like having a fun time and making the weirdest things. Because they could, and now you just have a copy paste of the same first person shooter over and over. Yeah. Like I miss that in video games too.
Well, we do have that, and the issues, and we have like less than 10 minutes to talk about it. Yeah. There's just no marketing behind it. The amount of games that just come out on a daily basis. Like if you
like on Steam,
go on Steam,
I love indie. I play a lot of indie horror games. There are so many hidden gems out there. No.
Okay, that one's a fun one, but we can discuss that later. But like that, or I'm going to say this: the Nintendo eShop is just a treasure trove of the weirdest games you will ever find. Yeah. It's like either got ported from mobile, a hentai dating game, or like and like everything in between. So there's a little bit of everything for everybody, but. And the Steam shop's the same way. I found one. I wish I had my phone on me right now.
On the Steam?
Oh, I don't know what it was, but it's like I must impregnate everyone in this elven village or I'll die. I think that's what the title is called.
Love scrolling to new and trending, and you see like a list of like, oh, the first 5 are normal, and then it's just nothing but straight hentai games.
That's exactly. Now, every day we stray further and further from God's grace when it comes to video game development, but okay, 10 minutes.
Here, I hear we're gonna bring it back on topic here, Jefe. I hear you love 357 Magnum.
I just love revolvers. I'm not married to the cartridge, but
okay. Yeah, I caught on to that while we were talking. You're definitely partial to revolvers.
When it comes to revolvers, I am married to 38 Special and 357.
So we talked about we talked about it a little bit. For me, like, I used to, be one of the guys that will carry, a Glock 19 spare mag, light, optic, and everything like that. And then one day I accidentally bought
Accidentally?
It actually pretty was accidentally. I went to go buy a Glock 26 because I was tired of carrying a Glock 19 everywhere. And I ended up buying a J frame for like $280 instead. And
pure by accident. I mean, they look exactly the same.
It was just more of like, I don't want to spend, $600, $400 or $500 on a Glock 26. So I bought it. I bought some Hornady critical defense ammo. I literally walked out of the store, threw it in my front pocket, and I went about the rest of my day. And then I was like, oh, this is great. This is wonderful. I have a gun on me. It's in my pocket. And I don't got to worry about, like my stomach hurting all day because I have a gun pressing into it. So
my stomach hurts. That's what I heard.
You need to lose some weight or
well, and then the advent of children when you're bending down and picking kids up all day. A gun in your appendix doesn't feel great after a while. So I just slowly retired to I have one of the Smith & Wesson 632s in 32 H&R mag. That's like my go-to gun right now, and I throw it in a little pocket holster, throw it in my front pocket, and we live in a rural county or rural area in Kansas, so it's like I don't need it.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, I always figure if you're happy carrying it, then it's the right gun for you.
That I can shoot like 120 yards with this thing. So.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely. Yeah. I did a video bashing. I talked about carry options, and I kind of ragged on revolvers, specifically J frames.
Oh, yeah.
I do actually quite like revolvers. I hate J frames.
Yeah, and the the best way to describe it, there's a meme out there, and I wish I had my phone to share it with you. When I get to my phone, I'll send it to you. It's the bell curve that has like the gentleman with the low IQ, the nerd, and then the Jedi master.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that's the journey of the J frame. It's you first started like, well, the guy at the gun counter says this is perfect, so I'm going to buy it. And then halfway through your journey, you're like, but the 9mm, it's softer shooting, bigger guns. And then eventually you get to the point where you're like, I'm just going to throw this in my front pocket. It's probably not going to be everything I need for the day. So,
yeah, no, I mean, so in terms of usage, it's cool. Yeah. In terms of proper grip for me,
yes,
I have a hard time getting a good grip, specifically on J-frames.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I know a lot of people with smaller hands, women tend to, and for whatever reason, J-frames are, like you said, the man at the checkout counter is going to just shove that down your throat.
Yeah, I will always tell, like, if someone's looking at getting a gun for like the first time, I usually tell them like to be honest, like if you're just buying it like a sock drawer gun, like a medium to large frame revolver is going to be good enough for anything. And then I usually, if someone is revolver curious, I'll throw them on my 30, my 32. It feels like it shoots like a 22. So you're not,
yeah, that's a great introduction.
Or even like a 22. I had a 22 long rifle one for the longest time. The only issue with it is the trigger kind of sucks on it.
Yeah.
Since you have a rimfire cartridge and you have to have a little bit stiffer trigger, so the hammer actually hits the primer just right, or the cartridge, so the ignition goes. But yeah, I wish they would make more of like 32 revolvers, because I think that is probably like peak J frame.
It's a good introduction for people that lets them kind of refine and figure out what they're looking for in something that's a little punchier.
And I heard, I don't remember where I heard this from. It was from some YouTube channel or some book or something. I can't remember where, but they talked about the 1911s more of in today's society. The 1911 is more of an operator's gun. It's a gun that you have shot, you've done everything out there, and you picked the 1911 because of X, Y, and Z. 3
World Wars. All 3 reasons right there.
3 world wars. Going to be 4. But, and it's just, there is a certain, like specific set of, like, want in your carry gun, and that's what you picked. And that's just why I landed on a front pocket revolver compared to my Glock 19, which is a fantastic gun. I absolutely love it. And, but it's easier to throw a revolver in my pocket and go.
Hey, that's what it comes down to, right?
I'm rambling on about it.
So. So I've got my J frame with me, and it's a 638. So it's got the shrouded hammer type of.
I've got him revolver curious as well.
Yeah, and I carry this because it's convenient. I can carry it in sweats. But I will say that it to your point, Jesse, this kind of slides around in my grip. I'm used to having a semi-auto with a beaver tail, a big beaver tail that,
right.
I can get a really high purchase and I have something pushing against my hand, whereas this doesn't have anything. So it feels like my hand's just slipping all over the place.
Yeah.
If you would purchase the Hamray grips,
I do. I definitely do. So yeah,
we're getting off topic. We have very little time left.
Yeah.
To talk about a gun that's designed to put into someone's stomach and just pull the trigger until it stops going bang.
Yep.
Okay, so Jesse, we usually kind of leave the last few minutes.
Don't do that to me.
Oh no. It's a point for us to just dish it over to you to give us some folksy wisdom. If there was
mom advice,
advice.
Oh no,
there's something that you wanted to pass on. If there's like one thing that you wanted to say, what would it be? And then we always try to put you on the spot.
I'll give good mom advice here off of my own personal downfalls, whether it be making YouTube videos, trying firearms, whatever. Don't let the fear of being embarrassed or uncertain stop you.
Do you talk
people
to Mark
don't
recently? Sorry. Oh.
Yeah, believe it or not, people don't believe this. I'm actually very shy. you meet me in person, I'm going to be very awkward and shy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of things that I wish I did in life sooner. I contemplated a YouTube channel for a very long time before I finally bit the bullet. I was afraid of doing competitions because I don't want people watching me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let that stop you. That is the stupidest thing to stop you, and time will fly past. So try it, look stupid, and learn. Like it's That's it.
That's good. No, that's really good. Yeah. I understand what you're coming from, because I remember doing my very first IDPA match. And the only thing I had was a 1911. And I had like 3 magazines, and they're like, "Oh, this is going to be a rough one for you." But
hey, but you work, you learn, you figure out what you need and like. You got to start somewhere, and that growth, that development starts from. It might be shit, but now you know.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. All right, Jefe, what do you got?
Oh yeah, don't buy a $2,000 cashmere sweater. Like I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. If anybody thought it was a great idea,
well, if you don't lose it.
Don't get. So.
Wow,
that's much better advice.
Yeah, I mean, no, yours is pretty. It's, and we'll talk offline about it. But it's like we'll talk offline about that one. So. Mine is if you ever get to a point, if you ever get pushed so far and you're so upset about something and you feel as if you need to get into a fight and you challenge someone to a fight, don't walk out the door first. You know where I'm coming from on that one. Yeah, I have my girlfriend's laughing in the background. She knows exactly what I'm saying. It's all right.
Personal experience, right?
Not me. No, not me. I'm a lover, not a fighter. So, yeah. We'll clue you in.
Another offline story.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. But with that being said, man, we hit right there at the 2-hour mark. We really appreciate everybody swinging by. Jesse, we're going to have you back. This was so much fun.
Like you guys are great. Mark, you have been lovely since like this time I started YouTube. So I'm always happy to work with you.
Absolutely. And hopefully, I know that your work is going to have you possibly traveling here to close kind of to the area. So we'll definitely catch dinner and
do a live show.
Yeah, we could do a live show.
We definitely could.
We've done that before. So again, you're welcome to come back on anytime. Feel free to reach out and we'll get you scheduled, and we'll obviously schedule you for the future for other things as well. So
thank you guys for having me.
No, thank you so much. Jefe, anything else? Or are you good?
No, the cashmere thing's about all I got.
That's it. That's good. So with all of that being said, again, thanks to XS Sights for sponsoring the channel. Swing on by, check out Boondock. We'll have all of the different ways to find Jesse down in the description below, and we will catch you guys next time. Don't forget to live, laugh, and LARP. We'll catch you guys later. Bye.